This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/iHeart.
At Amica Insurance, we know it's more than just a house. It's your home, the place that's filled with memories. The early days of figuring it out to the later years of still figuring it out. For the place you've put down roots, trust Amica Home Insurance. Amica, empathy is our best policy.
Comedian and podcaster Tom Segura is hitting the road. Catch him when he brings the Come Together Tour to the XL Energy Center on Friday, April 18th. Don't miss out on this hilarious night of comedy. Enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets at KFAN.com keyword calendar. That's KFAN.com keyword calendar to enter today.
You're getting ripped.
Yeah.
This courtesy of the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is 64686. How can anyone take your hockey talk seriously when you can't even pronounce Jonathan Toews correctly? I had someone do the same thing. They sent me an email over the weekend that said
I always love that.
They gave me the proper definition of the word recant. And I had to tell them, it's just an old inside joke from 1983. Much like the toes is just a...
Well, and I'm wondering how many people are in on the inside joke, because I know you are.
Right.
I know. It's just for you. The joke is for
exactly,
you, but
exactly.
I wonder how many others actually do know.
Well, that's it. And that's why there are people. That's why, going back to Rosen, is like, he'll do that all the time. If he says something that's not serious, he also goes, I'm just kidding. Because he's worried about credibility and the impression people have. I don't care about that. So when people think I can't correctly, I don't know the definition of recant, that's fine. I do, but it goes back to an old inside story where Jeff Hagedorn, he used to be the evening guy at the radio station, and I was the board operator. I'd read the updates, be a sidekick, and he started using the word recant over and over again. And he thought it meant to, like, recount something. And I didn't have the heart to tell. Well, the reason I did, I told him after the show, I said, you're using the word recant wrong. He goes, why didn't you tell me earlier? I said, because I just thought it was really funny that you kept using it that way. And I've done it ever since. So nevertheless.
I will say, though, on the toes thing.
Right.
Do we know it's not toes? Because I once was told it was Granlund. Turned out it was Gronlund. I was once told it was Rossi. And then it was Rossi, and then it was back to Rossi again.
That's exactly right.
So it's possible Toes is correct.
It is possible that his name is Jonathan Toews, and no one ever asked him, and he never bothered to correct anybody.
Yes.
You're spot on, Teneby. It's time for 534.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the welfare of the Wolves.
The Wolves beat the Detroit Pistons 123-104 last night at the Target Center. The game included a second quarter melee that resulted in a slew of ejections and technical fouls. Julius Randle scored 26 points and added 8 rebounds. Rudy Gobert, 19 points and a season-high 25 boards. Common, what sticks out to you from last night's Wolves win?
I got to go back to the gamer. I think it was Fish Wrap Factory West. I think the writer of the story, it was probably Chris Hine, could have been Zagoda, I don't know who. Could have been Joe Christensen, I'm not sure who covered the club, said during the melee, one of the spectators, a child, became terrified. Well, and you can see why.
Sure,
grown men pushing and shoving right next to you. Do these guys not have any idea how to comport themselves during a game? How does it get to the pushing and shoving level? You know why, Tinneby? Because a lot's on the line and they're competitors. No, they're oafish, buffoonish. But anyway, I don't know. It apparently, the Wolves were being, maybe dominated is too strong of a word.
Outplayed. But
they were being outplayed. Detroit had the upper hand until that happened. And then apparently that was what inspired them to put forth the effort you're supposed to put forth, and they ended up winning the game. But why does it take a melee, as you said, a brouhaha, a Donnybrook, or a Pier Sixer to get yourself to play that way? That has been the issue with this team all year. They've admitted it themselves over and over and over again. Can they, once postseason play starts, they will be in postseason, whether it's as a 6 seed or as a play-in club. They're going to be in the playoffs. Are they going to be able to just flip it like a switch and say, you know what, we're going to put forth the effort that's required from the beginning of the game, every game, night in, night out? I don't know, but I have my doubts about the club. I do.
By the way, I'm looking at the NBA standings. They differentiate between playoff berth and postseason.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, because they have the play-in games. So right now, the Wolves have clinched postseason, but they consider being in that top 8 after those play-in games to be playoffs. So that's interesting. Yeah,
well, you know, in you and I have had that discussion before, and of course the homers always get annoyed with me. Remember when the Twins, was it at least once, if not twice, they had to go to game 163, and people were counting that as a playoff game. No, it's not.
To get into the playoffs.
It's to get into the playoffs. It's not a playoff game. I mean, if you want to, you know, and again, you can say that's all semantics, but it's not a playoff game. It's not just like that's why they call it a play-in game, not a playoff game. It's a play-in game. Mm-hmm. So I like that they actually differentiate the two, which is what they should do.
Maybe from now on for PST, when we do our say-in matchups, we should not consider them into the PST tournament yet.
I agree. That's another change we should probably make.
They have to say their way in.
Let's you and I, the committee and I talk about it and try to get to the bottom of it.
Question number 2.
We're gonna win, Twins. We're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
Crack out a home run, shout a hip hooray! Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
For just the 6th time in their 65-year history, the Twins have begun the season 0-3 or worse after losing 9-2 yesterday in St. Louis. Bailey Ober gave up 8 runs on 8 hits over 2 2/3 innings. Common, what is your level of concern over the Twins' 0-3 start?
Homemade beef stew.
Lucky.
My wife had never made beef stew before. It's like she's been making it all of her life. She's such a great cooker.
She knocked it out of the park?
She knocked it out of the park. She's a great cooker. I mean, you know, it's 3 games in, so your concern isn't much, but I think I did see the number. They started 0-9 one time, and they ended up winning like 50 games all year. So this is not a good start. Now, the beauty is when did the Major League Baseball start scheduling AAA games for teams and then actually counting those into the regular standings? Because that's apparently what we're doing next. We take on the Chicago White Sox for a three-game set. So the concern will rise to a whole different level if they lose, if they get swept by the White Sox or even lose 2 of 3. I mean, they should win. I would think they should be done with the White Sox, and the worst they should be is 2 and 4. You would think they would, because I think it's a 3-game set. You would hope they would win all 3. Chicago's not very good. There are so many things to, and it's only 3 games, and I get it. You know, it's the marathon sprint that whole thing, but it's they're well, one of their best players isn't even playing. Royce Lewis is out. I think Buxton and Correa are a combined, they each had, I think, 4 at-bats in each of the 3 games. That's 12 at-bats apiece, right? I think they're 1 for 24. The two of the highest paid players on the club. I think the highest paid players on the team. The guys that are supposed to, and again, it's early. It doesn't mean that they can't get things turned around. And the hit by Buxton did drive in a run, but it was like a bloop single. It wasn't even a very, very hard hit. The other hitters that, I mean, you know, I teased LaBelle, by the way, too. You know, they will swing the sticks. I texted him with the quote, they will swing the sticks, and then underneath I put LaBelle Neal III. He never got back to me on that.
I always love that.
But, yeah, it's nobody can hit the pitching. Pablo had his troubles. Joe Ryan was actually pretty good. And then Ober probably should not even have been pitching. Apparently he wasn't feeling well. He was getting over some type of an illness. And I don't even know why he would pitch then. It's this early in the year. It's not a must-win by any stretch of the imagination.
Push him back a start or two.
That's what I would do, you know. But again, I think it's that old men are men and we play. You know, if you're nicked up or you don't feel well, you'll be looked upon as being soft if you don't take your turn in the rotation. I think that's preposterous myself. I think you do the team a disservice when you play a guy that's not feeling 100%. So, yeah, tough start to the season, and I don't know if it's going to get much better. We'll dig deeper into the Twins, if you'd like, as they dig themselves deeper into a hole. So that's all coming up. Controversial Vikings news on the other side of the break as well. We will... I'm getting ripped, by the way, which I just love. But we'll take a break after this here on the comment. Take a break and get back to some more Twins talk. Little Timberwolves talk as well here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Every day, our world gets a little more connected, but a little further apart. But then, there are moments that remind us to be more human.
Thank you for calling Amica Insurance.
Hey, I was just in an accident.
Don't worry, we'll get you taken care of.
At Amica, we understand that looking out for each other isn't new or groundbreaking. It's human. Amica, empathy is our best policy.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Hey, everybody. So when you get asked, what is Odoo, what comes to mind? Well, I'll tell you, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But, you know, some people also say that Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable.
Ooh. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. Whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it.
Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
The Fan.
Get down to Tom's Watch Bar in Minneapolis this Thursday at 6:30 and join the Power Trips Meat Sauce for a KFAN Wolves watch party. We'll have Timberwolves versus Nets live on the big screens, delicious food and drinks, and your chance to secure exclusive KFAN swag and to qualify for Wolves season finale tickets. Get all the details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Speaking of meat sauce, he and me, the Larry Mondello guy, have a Flop, Sweat, and Tears performance scheduled for this Friday at Sticks at the Dahlgreen Golf Course in Chaska. And it's sold out.
You've got to be kidding me.
I'm not kidding you.
Is capacity like 50?
130.
Wow.
Is a sellout. They can't sell any more tickets.
Should have raised the price. How about a second show?
Well, I hadn't even thought about that. No money, no funny. But we still, though, Keith, who is the owner of Sticks, he did set aside several pairs of tickets to give away. We'll do that later this week. But otherwise, it's a sellout. It's remarkable, is what it is. It's almost like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I mean, we've been going from ticket sales used to always be brisk, then it dropped to moribund, and then it would jump up and be, tepid, then back to moribund. But yeah, we sold out the whole thing. So we're pretty.
Do you believe in miracles? Yes, I do.
I think.
Is this a Tommy Olsen appearance one? Or?
No, Tommy Olsen is not appearing.
Is Marnie going to be there?
Nobody's
Rosie?
Be there. Nope.
Huh.
I got 7 minutes for you if you want to make your stand-up comedy debut. It's all yours.
Sounds like you don't need me.
No, we don't. Here's one.
And if you do need me, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, oftentimes I know that the idea is that we're adding people because we can't sell tickets. That's the rumor. It's true. But we didn't need him. And then it's like, well, how much do we pay Tommy? Do we give him what he's worth, or which might not be a heck of a lot, but I mean, like if he draws in hundreds of people, do we pay him a lot of money? We're just too bad, kid. It's your start. You got to start somewhere. Yeah, well, you drew some people in here, but it's our show, not yours. I mean, how long I've been cultivating this whole comedy thing here in town? For years I've been cultivating it. And I'm supposed to just turn it all over to him because he's selling all the tickets? Yeah, I guess I should, shouldn't I? But he hasn't sold one. He backed out. He was supposed to perform with us at Bogart's. And he decided he wanted to drink beer.
Maybe that was a contract play by him.
He decided he wanted to drink beer and watch March Madness with his buddies, which isn't a bad option either. This text message came into the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line that says, super hater thought the Wolves would lose to Detroit. And then he's got the laughing emojis with the tears crying out, pouring out of their eyes, because you predicted that on Thursday. Minnesota owns Detroit, and you know it. Sorry. He thinks this gets me going. This coach, he's the one that got going because he's so bitter. I didn't even remember picking Detroit on Thursday. That's how little I care. But that he reminded me I did. Rosen and I went over the schedule. I thought the Wolves would play their last 9 games in 5-4, I believe. And I thought they would lose to Detroit. And they were getting dominated by Detroit early until the fight broke out. And then Detroit was already down 2 of their starters. And then they lost, 2 or 3 guys got booted from the game. So you got to put in the extenuating circumstances here on which team owns which team. Players lost their cool. It was pushing and shoving in the game. Edwards was really good in the third quarter. Gobert was a monster on the boards. And according to the Gamer that I read, I think it was Fish Wrap Westside, Julius Randle had one of his best games he's had all season long. So these are all good signs. Has nothing to do with hate or see. That's the other thing. See, people, and if what you want is Homer-like radio, you can find it all over this station and all over town. You can find it all over the country. We don't do that here. I don't hate teams. I hate their performances, or I love their performances, but it's the tough love covenant. How many times do I have to explain it? I just expect more, especially from a team that went deep into the playoffs last year. And I know they have a different makeup of the team, that it's a different composition. But I was told by everybody, nope, Big Meow is overrated. He whines too much. He doesn't play very good defense. This was a good move. We needed to free up salary cap space because we were on that second apron. So it was a good thing to get. I said, I think he's the heart and soul of the club myself, but nobody wanted to believe that. And then when they got off to a slow start, I asked out loud almost every day, when is it all going to start coming together? It takes time to gel, It'll take 10 games. It'll take 20 games. They kept upping it 10 more games until we got to, it's going to take 70 games, for them to gel. I still haven't seen a team that has gelled here with, 8 games to go.
They've gelled for small stretches.
Yes. Yeah. And maybe it will happen yet, but it has nothing to do with hating. It's the idea that, and obviously the text messenger can't deal with criticism of his favorite team. It bothers him. And so then so he saw what he thought was an opening there. I got comment, I box him up. No, you didn't box anybody up. I picked Detroit and I would have picked him again. Didn't turn out that way. That's all good. I will pick on the Wild. You know, I've been attacked by the basketball community for always trying to hold the Wolves to higher standards. I just get frustrated, exasperated by the same excuses coming out of the bullseye. The other team played harder. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. We know we're supposed to do this, but we didn't do that, and we're going to start doing it next time we play. And then, of course, it just continues to repeat itself over and over and over again. But I will say this. The Wild's last game, they lost to
the New York Island. New Jersey was Saturday. They played New Jersey again tonight.
They lost to New Jersey. So guess what? I'm going to be an equal opportunity ripper. Here's your headline from the Fish Wrap Factory West Side story. Sarah McClellan writes this piece. Wild sink against Devils, leaving coach John Hines entirely dissatisfied with their effort.
Oh my gosh.
The Wild trailed 2-0 early in the first, and John Hines was not fooled when they made it a game for a bit. Story reads as follows. The Devils did most of their damage late, pouncing on the Wild after they were only one shot away from drawing even. But that was the game coming full circle on the Wild. They were doomed from the get-go. Their slow start catching up to them in a 5-2 letdown Saturday at the Fuse Box. That was a baffling performance considering the circumstances. They're battling to try to stay ahead of St. Louis. St. Louis has been on a heater, I think the kids call it, tend to be. But they won
9 in a row.
Yeah, 9 in a row now. Here's what...
They're technically tied with the Wild in the standings. The Wild have a game in hand, but same amount of points now.
Okay, where's the coach's quotes? Where the heck are they? Oh, we're going to break already? Here it is. The readiness to play, the focus level, the attention to detail, the competitiveness that's required to win. We didn't have that tonight, which was surprising to me. So some of that's on me, obviously, and we'll address it and we'll make sure that we're mentally and physically ready to play on Monday. Why a team would not be ready to play, would not be focused, would not be competitive, and not take care of the attention to detail, I don't know either. It's what you do for a living. It's only 82 games a year. Come on, it's a stretch run here. So I find that definitely disappointing. But I think that's really only the first time I've heard that from the Wild coach or anybody associated with the Wild. We've heard that almost after every game the Wolves lose. Every game, it's the same excuses. So there's a bit of a difference there. We'll break. We'll come back. We've got more to get to. Common Man program here on the Fan. By the way, not going well for Chris Paddock already. White Sox out to a 3-zippo lead.
Yeah, 3-run homer.
3-run homer. Who hit that? Was it a torpedo bat?
It was.
Have you heard about the torpedo bats?
I have. The Yankees, yeah.
Let's talk torpedo bat as well. So we got plenty to get to here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Every day, our world gets a little more connected, but a little further apart. But then, there are moments that remind us to be more human.
Thank you for calling Amica Insurance.
Hey, I was just in an accident.
Don't worry, we'll get you taken care of.
At Amica, we understand that looking out for each other isn't new or groundbreaking. It's human. Amica, empathy is our best policy.
Hey, everybody. So when you get asked, what is Odoo, what comes to mind? Well, I'll tell you, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But, some people also say that Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable.
Oh, but then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. Whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it.
Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Catch the Minnesota Wild take on Dallas this Sunday with the Unreal Golf Ticket Pack. Score your exclusive ticket package, including a ticket to the game, an exclusive Unreal Wild co-branded hat, and a meet and greet with the one and only Shooter McGavin himself, Christopher McDonald. Enter for your chance to win this ticket package now at KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
Number of ways you can contact us. 1-800-320-5326 is our phone number. booth@KFAN.com is our email address. There's the talkback. Download the iHeartRadio app, search stations, find the Fan. You'll see a microphone icon, corner of the screen. Tap it once, and you have 30 seconds or less to deliver us a audio message. And then there's the Brad Sean Bryant KFAN text line at 64686. This text message is from Derek in St. Paul. He identifies himself there, and it says, Common, you haven't seen a Timberwolves game all season. How do you know if the Wolves are gelling or not? Well, I read the recap of every game. And when the players on the team themselves and the coach is saying, this isn't working. We're not putting forth the proper effort. We're not doing the things we're supposed to do. We're not paying attention on defense. We're not getting back on defense. It's a long laundry list of excuses. And when you are struggling, you can't even get to the 6th seed. I mean, they still can if they go on another heater here. They had that nice little stretch, won 8 games in a row. But I don't need to see them to say. And then I even said to him, do you think they're gelling? He says, he got back to me and said, I would say they're gelling better now than earlier in the season. Yeah. But that's still not, to me, gelling is when it's all coming together. You know what gelling is? Oklahoma City Thunder. That's gelling, right? Or what?
Or post Jimmy Butler, Golden State Warriors.
Exactly. But by the way, I've saved the story. I might get back to it one of these days, maybe even later today. All the credit for the resurgence of the Golden State Warriors is being given to Jimmy Butler.
Sure.
Case closed. I tried to tell people, but people don't want to. Again, people get their feelings hurt when a player for their favorite team, I guess, doesn't quite fit or has a different approach to how to be a teammate, and then other people immediately they immediately begin to rip him and blame him when
That's because fans don't want to believe that the whole team has dysfunction. They just want to believe it's one guy. It's easier that way. Get rid of the one guy, everything's duckies and bunnies again. That's what
you're exactly right. That's you want the easiest solution, and the easiest solution isn't always the one that will work the best. Is this Warren? I didn't even realize. Warren, are you still here?
Yeah, but I was going to tell you, I'm kind of disappointed in you because there's two things. I wanted to request, I've never done that before on the show, but in memory of George Foreman, I wanted to see if you would be willing to play In Zaire by Johnny Wakeland, the song. It's probably, he did Black Superman. And you don't hear a lot of boxing songs, but I think the listeners that haven't heard it would really enjoy it. It's really good. And then I got a Pittsburgh Steeler, Minnesota Viking trade that's tied in to the quarterback situation that I think is going to happen. What do you think? What do you think about Johnny Wakely? You want me to tell you about the Pittsburgh situation?
Okay. No, go to your trade situation.
Yes, the trade situation would be this. I don't believe that they're waiting for Rodgers. I believe they're trading up in the draft to either get one of the quarterbacks or get the defensive back out of Colorado that can play both sides of the ball. Here's what I see happening. Vikings, I said it earlier that their first round draft choice from last year, this guy, from all indications, he's healthy. This would be not if the Vikings, and I hear this is on the table.
What do you think the Vikings are going to get to your point? What do you think the Vikings are going to do now?
Trade for Troy Fontenot, their first round draft choice last year. That would give the Vikings a really good offensive lineman for the future. And then what it would do for Pittsburgh is they'd have 2 first round draft choices. That would be for sure. I think it's going to take them one more to get up to where they want to go. So they would only be basically giving up 1 draft choice in the future.
All right.
To get, and I believe if they get this offensive lineman and don't make that decision, and I hear that this is on the table, it's a big mistake because this guy is a difference maker.
Okay.
And from all indications, he's healthy. And if they can make that move, that'd be the best thing they could do.
All right.
And I hope you do. I hope you play Johnny Wakeland because that's a hell of a good song.
Thanks, Warren. Appreciate that. We can't play licensed music on the station anymore.
I wanted to ask him about.
I'm sorry.
He made it seem like the Vikings were going to move up in this draft to get one of the top quarterbacks or get Travis Hunter to Colorado. All those guys are going in the top 5.
Yeah. Well, so, I think he actually meant Pittsburgh. That's what I thought. That's what I thought at first. He says.
Got it.
I said I think he was saying that Pittsburgh's not going to go after Rodgers.
I was going to say.
Right.
Didn't make a whole lot of sense for us given the lack of draft.
Right. Well,
equity we have at this moment.
We've got our quarterback of the future.
You'd like to think?
Yeah, I'd like to think. Well, there was another story I stumbled across in CBS Sports, and they are buying, selling latest 2025 NFL quarterback rumors. Aaron Rodgers wants to join the Vikings, ? Kirk Cousins bound for the Browns, ? Cody Benjamin, who writes National Football League for CBS Sports, wrote a piece over the weekend. Quarterbacks often make the NFL go round, blah, blah, blah. Darnold, Geno Smith, etc. Then it talks about, will Cam Ward go number 1 overall? Or should Sanders come off the board immediately afterward? And what about Rodgers? Will he really wait until the summer or even later to make a decision on what would be his 21st NFL campaign? Plenty of lineup shaking moves could await both on the rookie and veteran fronts. With that in mind, we decided to put on our thinking cap and reassess 5 of the juiciest quarterback storylines, projecting whether the latest rumors are more fact than fiction. Question 1, Aaron Rodgers wants the Vikings and vice versa. Cody Benjamin is buying into that. That's his verdict.
Oh, my gosh.
He writes, why is this future Hall of Fame quarterback unemployed? He's 41 for starters, with declining mobility and outsized celebrity presence. But here's another reason. He wants the perfect opportunity. Minnesota registers just that, boasting playoff caliber talent, coaching, and facilities. The Vikings, of course, are in the awkward position of desiring both instant stability and a longer-term commitment to their first-round investment of J.J. McCarthy. So it's understandable they're hesitant to go all in for an aging big-name rental. Yet the fact they've continually left the door open for additional Rodgers talks and that Rodgers continues to putz around, clear interest from the Pittsburgh Steelers, suggests that deep down there's a mutual attraction here. Will it lead to a real partnership? Maybe or maybe not. But everyone can dream. And I think that's what you and I have discussed, that to me it seems like this dalliance that was confirmed by Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah at his news conference last week. And then you mentioned KOC was talking with the media today. And again, when talking about J.J. McCarthy, he said all the, a lot of, showered accolades down upon him and talked about him in a positive sense, but again, did not commit to McCarthy will be our starting quarterback. The Rodgers thing was something we thought about. I mean, Rodgers, you read the quote from KOC, from a tweet from, can you find that tweet again from Kevin Seifert? He was there today, and he sent out a tweet because obviously the coach was asked about J.J. McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers, that whole thing. And KOC in his comment admitted, yeah, we did talk.
Yeah, here's the Kevin Seifert tweets.
Okay.
Kevin O'Connell spoke to local reporters today for about 15 minutes, mostly about Vikings QBs. He acknowledged his conversations with Aaron Rodgers and insisted they were not related to any concern he might have about J.J. McCarthy. O'Connell, quote, "You're constantly evaluating all of the opportunities that may be out there, and certainly that was one that I found to be interesting just because it speaks to what our place has kind of turned into for quarterbacks. But at the same time, we've had a quarterback plan in place with J.J. McCarthy and really like where he's at in that journey right now and looking forward to getting the offseason program going with him."
So what he's saying to me, let me try to draw an analogy here. I like your future here as
by the way, the White Sox just hit another 3-run homer. It's 7-0.
7-0. And Andrew Benintendi, 7-0. There will be more people at Flop, Sweat, and Tears this Friday than there are in the stands at Comiskey Park right now. There's nobody there.
Well, just wait till Target Field this year. If you think about it, right, the way they ended last year, this is as vocal as I've ever heard
the fan base.
Twins fan base about the ownership. And then the ownership does nothing, and they still haven't sold the team. And then they get off to this start. If they continue down this path, this is going to be as vacant as we've seen Target Field in a long time.
Did you see their slogan for this year?
No.
Rise as one is what they're going with.
Okay.
Which makes sense because after the third inning, the fans will rise as one and leave the stands in the stadium. I tweeted that out and got almost 60,000 views. People liked it. Some people were a little bitter.
Sure.
But
the truth hurts.
The truth does hurt. I think you got a bright future here as the interim / bridge producer. And
you like where I'm at in my journey?
Yeah, I like where you're on your journey. But if all of a sudden I had the opportunity to have Nordo take your place, well, it'd be like Aaron Rodgers. He's the Nordo is the Aaron Rodgers. I'll bring him in and give him a shot. He's legendary. He's Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame bound is Nordo. And if it doesn't work out, you're still here. We're not giving up on you. That's what it couldn't be more. It couldn't be more clear to me what. Of course, they don't think that. It has nothing to do with having doubt about J.J. McCarthy. None. They just know there's growing pains. They know they've invested a lot of money
to develop.
Yeah, and they've invested all sorts of money on the offensive and defensive line, again, on aging veterans. The team is built. I'm not saying this is it. It's win now, or it's over for this club for the next few years. But I'm sure they're looking at it as That's why they made the moves. They went 14-3 last year, and they saw what their biggest issue was. Their biggest issue was the middle of the offensive line just can't provide enough protection for a quarterback that has to sit back there and throw the deeper passes, which is what KOC wants to do with his wide receivers. And they also know that their defensive line was not getting enough pressure on the inside on the opposition's quarterback. So hopefully they have rectified those two issues. And with Sam Darnold gone, I guess you hand it to McCarthy. But if you're inside, I don't see why this isn't. Even if Viking fans are against it, there are those out there that think it's preposterous to even think about it. Which is ridiculous. Which is ridiculous. I mean, KOC said it in the quote you read from the Kevin Seifert tweet. You take a look at everything. You don't you're just not laser focused on your plan for the future. You also have to look at where your team is now, where they're going, where they've been, where they're at, and to not at least consider. And you and I both roll our eyes, shrug our shoulders, and shake our head when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and his ego and his ayahuasca, his darkness retreats, his basically pointing the finger at other players, and all of the things we've talked about over his career. He still was a hell of a quarterback. And he wasn't as bad last year as people want to make it out to be. He wasn't as good as he's been in his MVP seasons, but those last 4 or 5 games, he played pretty well statistically. So it's like to me, you're basically taking a flyer on him. You're saying, let's give it a shot, like they did with Favre. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. What do we got to lose? Nothing except a handful of games. And if it doesn't work, you bounce him and then McCarthy's back in.
Then the future is your present.
Yeah.
And that word journey is the one that's sticking out to me in this quote by Kevin O'Connell. He said, but at the same time, we've had a quarterback plan in place with J.J. McCarthy and really like where he's at in that journey right now. The word journey, by using that word, that means he ain't a finished product. He's not where he needs to be, big time NFL quarterback. We like the journey he's at getting to that spot. But to your point earlier, all the moves they've made this year look like win now moves. Everything they've done in free agency, the offensive lineman, the defensive lineman, you're bringing back Harrison Smith, like the rest of the moves Kwesi has made would say, hey, we're looking to win this year.
Correct.
And J.J. McCarthy still might be that guy that can help you win that year, but when you use the word, hey, we like where he's at in that journey, that lets you know that we don't know if he's that guy yet. We like the potential of him. So, and the other part about this, when they were making all those free agency moves, they spent a lot of money on those guys. But in terms of salary cap hit for this year, they were moving a lot of that stuff around. They still have a lot of salary cap space open, which means there's still bigger plans. And one of those plans could very well be an Aaron Rodgers contract.
Brilliant.
Otherwise, what are you saving that for?
I think you're absolutely right.
Now, it might be, the Asante Samuels, and there might be some other big name out there that they're waiting until that deadline I talked about earlier. But there's a reason they're trying to keep as much salary cap space right now as they can for this season.
I think you're absolutely right. And I don't have a problem with it. I think I really do believe it's low risk.
There's a risk to everything.
Here's a text. Common, you say leave the radio to the professionals. How about leaving how the local teams play to people and writers who actually watch? Stick to analyzing a 40-year-old TV show, seeing if Jimmy Rockford gets out of another precarious situation. Hope you get the bit. Well, it is a bit. Yeah, I get it. No, but it's actually older than that because the show was. It's a little bit older than that. Yeah, I do get the bit. To me, it's. I think Rodgers is going to be the starting quarterback of this team come September. I just think he's going to be, and whether that works or proves a season-long situation remains to be seen. But I think he'll be signing with the club.
The more this goes, the longer I'm believing. Yeah. I know you had the initial report come out before I left a couple weeks ago of, well, the Vikings are committed to J.J. McCarthy, blah, 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 blah. But then even after those came out, you still had other reporters going, well, we still think there's a possibility for Aaron Rodgers. And then, Kwesi spoke to the media, and they didn't slam the door on it.
No.
And they tried to throw as many flowers as they could to J.J. McCarthy, but they didn't rule it out, which means there is a scenario in which he's here.
Oh, he's here.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
I'm starting to believe.
And I know
it
that...
makes too much sense at this point.
If I know that... and again, this is very unscientific, going by the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text lines, emails to me, to Booth, to message boards on the various sports websites. But I think it's overwhelmingly, Viking fans in town are overwhelmingly against signing Aaron Rodgers. And I think it all has to do with the hatred of Rodgers because he played for Green Bay.
Sure.
And because he had a lot of success, Green Bay has had more success overall, obviously, than the Minnesota Vikings have. I know we've got a lot of wins, but we have no big game championships, one NFL championship. Green Bay's had all success and plenty of it under Rodgers. And I think that just, I don't remember what the reaction of Viking fans was when Favre signed with the Vikings initially. I think it was similar, wasn't it? I think a lot of fans didn't like the idea of Brett Favre coming here because I also think a lot of people thought he might be done.
That's what it was.
Yeah. And here, I don't even know. Part of it might be because they think Rodgers doesn't have anything left. I think it's mostly just the Rodgers personality and what he represents having played.
I think it might be a combination of all of it. Yeah.
Yes. They just, it's hard for them to embrace that. And I understand it. I do.
I mean, it's been a while since we've seen peak Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, it has been.
Right, like his last year before he went to the Jets wasn't as good, if I recall.
No, he was struggling. He struggled, and then he left.
Then the Achilles.
Yeah, and he missed a season.
Yep.
And then last year, if you look at those numbers, like I say, late in the season, they were better. Again, the games were meaningless at that point, too, and I don't remember who they were playing. The teams they were facing might not have been putting up as much.
I know for a good chunk of last year, like he wasn't throwing the deep ball like he used to.
Right.
Which seems like would be something you want to throw here if you're in KOC's offense.
Well, and
but I also do wonder how much of that is at that age recovering from an Achilles.
Correct.
Second year back from it, do you get some of that strength back? Is he a little bit more mobile this year? Can he throw the deep ball better this year?
I don't think this Twins team is out of this game yet, Tennessee. It's only 7-0, bottom of 3.
Touchdown, 2-point conversion.
Well, yeah.
Onside kick.
Well, yeah, repeat that a couple of times, and I think we're right back into this thing. So Twins getting clobbered by the White Sox. They start the season 0-3.
They've officially reached the point where Paddock's given up 7. They're in the third inning. He's just going to keep pitching just to save the arms
of
the other pitchers.
Yeah. Maybe he's sick, too. I wonder if said he didn't feel well yesterday. I don't know if Paddock's sick, but I'm sick of watching him pitch. But there it is. He's staying in the game. 7-0. I think what the Twins need is their torpedo bat. It's controversial, Tennessee. It's been introduced by the Bronx Bombers. We'll talk about it next here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
Some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.
When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.